Welcome to this ISO Cilium Tech Talk series on pod rate limiting. In this session, we're going to use a Cilium features to enforce some limit on how much traffic a pod can send. So we're going to use a GKE cluster. First, we need to get the CIDR from the cluster, and then we'll be using Helm to install Cilium. Now we could also use a Cilium install. I'm using Helm this time, and note that we need a specific flag to enable Bandwidth Manager, because by default it's disabled. So we're using 1.11.6. That feature came in with 1.9. So it just take a few seconds to install. And we're good to go. Now, we're going to make sure that Cilium is healthy. We're going to restart the daemon set, and we're going to check that the Cilium agents are running fine. One isn't quite ready. Let's run this again. And we're good to go. We can also check that the feature has been enabled correctly, and we can see that it is. Now, what we're going to do now is check that it's the feature works, and we're going to do some network performance testing between two pods. Pods are going to be placed in different nodes. There's going to be a server and a client. Now you can see here we're using annotation to specify the maximum bandwidth a pod is allowed to transmit at, which is going to be 10 megabits per second. And then we're also enforcing this on the client. We're using anti-affinity to make sure that the client and the server are placed in different nodes. So what we're going to do next is deploy this manifest, check that the pods are ready to go, and then we'll need the IP address of the server so that we can tell it, we can actually start the network performance testing. We go. The documentation can be found on docs.cilium.io, and you can see we're running this performance testing, and it's will be 9.53, which is just a shade under 10 megabits per second, which is great. We can also make sure that verify that BPF and rate limiting has been enforced at the BPF layer by running a few commands from the Cilium pod, which is co-located with the NetPerf server pod. You can see it's down to the identity 10 megabits per second. It's been enforced for identity 3825, which is our NetPerf server. Now, if we just validate this by changing the bandwidth from 10 to 100, and we can reapply this manifest, and then rerun the test and make sure that the bandwidth has been increased accordingly. At 95.14. So again, just a tiny bit under 100 megabits per second. And again, we can also check that this has been enforced using the Cilium BPF commands. So that's it. Again, thanks for watching this brief introduction to Cilium rate limiting. Thanks for watching.